Mosh is live. Season 3, Episode 2. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I know I posted a while ago, like, hey, it always takes me so long to get ready, and today I'm so ready ahead of schedule, and then 5 minutes beforehand, I'm struggling to get my tie on. We have a guest tonight, Wild Bill, as I'm sure you've seen on all the Twitter and how excited I've been for the last week. Before we get him on, I just want to point out the usual stuff. On the show, I won't answer any of the follows or subs or any of that stuff until afterwards. That's just to avoid breaking up the flow that the guest and I have while we're talking. I don't want to just interrupt. Oh, thank you so much, MAF127 for modding. We'll get to all that in the post show for sure. So if you want, stick around, and then I'll shout out your name then. Another thing we do on the show is do a questions and answer, usually near the end. If you have questions as we're going along, you feel free to post them in the chat. I will scroll back up through, or the mods are really, really good at sort of compiling them and then letting me know at that point in the show. I don't think there's anything else. Literally the first thing you're thinking for, okay, I'm not looking at my phone anymore. I love you, Mike. Let's go straight to Bill here. Let me switch it up. Hello, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, okay. How you doing, Mosh?
Great. Thank you so much, first of all, for being on the show. Oh, I'm so excited that transition actually worked. Awesome. This is Wild Bill. He is a streamer. He's a part of Team Calico. He is, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but kind of a strategy game streamer. We will talk more about that soon. He's a partner on Twitch, and I think that is a pretty good 50,000 foot description. One thing I forgot to mention when we started the show, Bill, was that we always do the segment called What's on Tap, where it's like, hey, what are you drinking? Some people drink tea or water. I drink random beers during the show. Do you have anything to drink now that I've not told you about that segment at all?
Actually, right now, no, because I had just finished my Coke from McDonald's.
Oh, well, okay, there you go. I'm drinking Molotov cocktail tonight.
Nice.
So where we usually start the show is to talk about a segment called In the Beginning, which is basically not necessarily where'd you come from, like where were you born kind of stuff, but everyone starts streaming with sort of a love of video games to begin with, or a love of fantasy. I know people that started in the D&D world and everything. I'm kind of interested in knowing, where did Bill sort of start in the game world in terms of, was it tabletop or video games? And then, like, how did that lead up to Twitch, I guess?
Video games probably started with the Sega Genesis, good old Sega Genesis.
Ultra Beast.
You know, I'm a little old now, getting closer to that big 3-0. But I think, it started with the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo back with, Legend of Zelda, Sonic the Hedgehog, and ever since I could pick up a controller and play, I just couldn't stop gaming.
That's so funny. That's the big 3-0, because in like 2 weeks, I turned the big 3-7. So,
oh.
I got
well, you don't look it, man. You look good for your age.
Oh, thank you. So, sort of at what point did you figure out what Twitch was? Like, how did that come about? You just sort of heard about it through friends, or you saw something online, or?
I've been gaming like really serious for so long, and I honestly didn't know about Twitch until a friend told me about it, because I was big on playing Diablo, and he kept talking, like we'd play like super, high tier gameplay in terms of like going efficiently with the season and whatnot in Diablo, and he's always talking about this guy like Quinn or Quinn69 or dat mods, and I'm sure you might be familiar with those names.
I think I've heard of Quinn, but I'm not sure about the
and I'm like, what is he talking about? And like, oh, he told me about Twitch, and I was like, what's the Twitch? And pretty much once I learned what Twitch was, I just jumped into it. Like, I didn't do any research. I didn't like hang in streams or anything. I just jumped right into it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm already gaming. Might as well. It's always fun to talk to people. while like gaming.
Yeah. Did you start on Twitch with Diablo? Was that kind of your main starter game?
Um, it was the main game that got me more popular at first, but I
Yeah.
actually started with Total War. What game was it? Total War.
Oh, is that Annihilation? Total War Annihilation, something like that?
No. It's Total War for
Oh,
the
I'm thinking.
Total War series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like the
Uh,
Shogun and everything like that.
yeah, exactly. And I started with Total War Attila,
Oh, okay. Cool.
and I went from that to because I just besides ARPGs, like strategy games are like my go-to.
Right.
So I started with that and went to Total War Arena, and I made my way over to Diablo.
That's cool. Yeah. Huh. I guess I started playing Diablo a little bit, but was never. Did you play Diablo 2? Were you big into that when it was out, or just sort of
Oh,
3?
that was my childhood, man.
Okay.
That was my whole childhood.
I know. Yeah, I know. I have a cousin who's huge into Diablo 3. And it's just because he came from Diablo 2 and this, hundreds of thousands of not hours but minutes, spent in this game. I guess I never really played it. I played Diablo 1. I didn't really play Diablo 2, and then Diablo 3
Diablo
was
1 was
pretty
another
fun.
great one too.
Yeah, that game was awesome. The
That's
uh
probably one of my favorite franchises in gaming, Diablo series, because I started with D1 and 2.
right. So are you a fan of all the other Blizzard games too, or just sort of Diablo's your thing? Because strategy, I mean, maybe StarCraft a little bit.
Um, I'm a different kind of strategy. So like, you have your strategy crowds that like the, actions per minute, building up your base and all
Yeah.
that. And then you got your grand strategy where you're practically looking at spreadsheets the entire time. That at least
Right.
that's the way what people joke about because you really don't have any kind of action going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you even have ones that are a mixture of the RTS, like Total War, where it does like a little bit of the grand strategy and the actual combat.
Okay.
I'm more of the grand strategy and, you know, more not the StarCraft kind of game.
Right. Not the you get what's it called? Your fingers get broken and what's that called? Not scoliosis. What am I thinking of?
I know what you're thinking of.
Um, Starts with an A.
Arthritis
Thank you. Arthritis in your fingers from pressing 1,000 words
or
a minute.
carpal tunnel.
Yes. Maybe both in severe circumstances. Um, so, you, Team Calico, you started streaming in like 2015. I think I sort of took a look briefly through Sully Gnome and things like that and saw some like Twitch account was created around then. You might have been streaming before that on a different name or something.
I actually was streaming on a different name. It was just literally my name
Oh,
with
gotcha.
like a couple of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it started in actually 2014, but I quickly swapped to something a little bit more catchy.
That's pretty interesting because then, so did you go through a whole sort of rebranding, as some people call it, to sort of
Not
become this
really.
Wild Bill, or it was close enough to who you are that it was just like, oh, this is just a new name?
It was close enough to, I mean, my name's William, so Bill fits, and
Yeah.
I did it within like a month and a half, so I really hadn't even made any progress on Twitch at that point.
Oh, gotcha.
So like it was maybe a couple dozen followers that I
Right.
had to just tell, hey, we're swapping.
We're at a different name now. Yeah. um, so with the stream teams, I don't know if you're a part of more than one. I seem to only ever see you streaming on Team Calico. That might be the main stream team for you. The how did that come about? Basically, I mean, I know there's requirements and application and everything, but I assume you
I
have
was
to.
actually invited.
Oh, there you go.
I are you? I'm sure you're familiar with For Honor.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Me and Cal G or Julia,
Mm-hmm.
whichever he liked to, use her name,
Cal Julia.
Cal Julia. Me and her both played a lot of For Honor. In fact, at the very beginning, for the first 3 months or so of For Honor, I was the number one in the world for player kills and levels or
Jesus.
reputations. Because I like to grind and be and like I'm a grinder.
Right.
uh, and we met through For Honor, and that was another popular title for my stream when it was a big game.
Yeah, I
And
saw you playing it briefly recently. I think a couple weeks ago, maybe.
yeah, I just wanted to revisit it because it
Yeah.
is getting better. But
Hmm.
I mean, I haven't played the game in like 9 months, and all my mechanical skill, I guess you could say, and reactions are way off because it is very reaction based, especially when you're dealing with like counters and countering parrying and all that.
Okay. Yeah. The So you met. I mean, I know Julia played that game quite a bit. So you met her there, and then just sort of hit it off and talked to her and Modest, and then just kind of got the invite or whatever. Or I think
Pretty
Julia,
much
yeah,
because we
sort of runs
both
that
got
game.
partnered off that game.
Oh, I didn't know that she got partnered directly off that game.
It was between that and Horizon Zero Dawn, I think.
Right. Okay. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, I remember there was so much hype about the game for a long time, and then I didn't really hear much about it. And then I swear, I think I saw a picture that Julia posted on either Instagram or Twitter or something where she was at like a For Honor booth or talking to those guys at E3. Like, I don't know if there's been changes or something new coming for that game, but it seemed like a pretty big setup there.
They are so that game in particular, it went through a very it's kind of like a Rainbow Six. I'm sure everybody's familiar with
Oh,
how
yeah.
Rainbow Six was horrible at launch, and now it's just really getting good now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of done the same phase. I've noticed a trend with Ubisoft. They tend to do that in all their games. They either release the game a little too early or don't like polish the game off, but then a
Right.
year or two is when you can expect the game to be really good and fun. And it's kind of a shame because in gaming, your first impressions are usually what's going to be the best in
Yeah, that's
terms
a
of
lot
like
of hype.
longevity.
Yeah.
So when a game's that hype, if you don't get a good first impression, you've kind of like shot yourself in the foot.
Right. The So speaking of Ubisoft, they do Division, right?
Yes, they did. That's another great game that was a little wonky at the
Yep.
start, and it's supposedly really good now. So hopefully they'll get number two right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played that on launch, like really bought into it pretty heavily,
I
and
played into that too.
yeah, and then you got to that point where you kind of have to go to the dark zone, and there really wasn't much happening at that point. Like it was just farming one or two weapons.
Well,
Um,
not even that. There was when they did that first incursion.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember the old wall trick.
Mm-hmm.
Just use the shield through the wall, and that was like, oh,
Then you
come
just farm
on.
the boss down to death all the time. Yeah.
I mean, you ended up having to do that because it was the most efficient thing to do to get
Yeah.
geared.
I actually went back to play that game. I'm trying to think a couple months ago, and it was actually pretty fun. They added in that underground area with the dailies or something, and they had that survival mode. I don't remember when exactly that was put in, but that was actually pretty fun too.
I
Um,
have not played it recently.
the
I have
survival mode is
friends that are
really fun.
wanting me to.
Yeah, there's like that survival mode in particular. The underground's pretty cool because you can just sort of run through quick dailies and things. But the survival mode was what was most interesting to me. You sort of just get dropped in a world, and you have no weapons. You have to find them, and then you have to like survive the snow because you're constantly dying while you're outside. So you're running from fire to fire. It's pretty interesting. But
Sounds
yeah,
interesting.
I hope Division 2 is going to be great. I know what's going to happen. I'll be like, oh, it's scared. They're going to fix everything. And then I'm going to play, and there's going to be something broken about it, and I'm not going to like it. I
Well,
hope
I
not.
mean, they already said, the first year of content's going to be completely free, so that's one step in
Yeah,
the right direction.
right.
So that's one thing. Like, I never bought the season pass because I wasn't sure. Now, if Division Two's good, maybe I'll get the season pass when they actually start implementing it. If the first year is actually good.
Yeah. That's like, what other game recently did that? Oh, the whole Battlefront fiasco when that game came out was
Oh boy,
kind of a nightmare. I don't know if you played into the Battlefront stuff at all.
I did play it like during the betas and launch, but
Yeah.
good lord, those loot crates kind of killed them.
Yeah, we talked about this show a few times with some different guests. Like, I bought the whatever the super edition is during the beta. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it because I get 9 days free play or early play or something like that. And EA Origin Access or whatever it's called, Early Access has that program where you can play it like 24 hours after release and still return it. and I think I returned it before the game even released. It's just like, this
Oh
is
man.
not for me. But I mean, the ship battles look sweet. That's about it. It looks okay. Um, so Team Calico, is that the mainstream team, the only stream team? Is that kind of? I know just before the show, we talked a little bit about how to you this whole world just kind of like a hobby thing. You just kind of do it for fun on the side or whatever.
Hmm.
Is becoming parts of other stream teams a thing for you, or just kind of like, nah, I'm good with Calico and the group?
Depends. Like, I would like personally, Calico was a lot more active at one point. It's been pretty like we used to talk constantly in Twitter DMs and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
more there was just more activity. But obviously, as Julia and Modest have been getting more busy because her stream has been growing and they've been doing more activities, it's
Yeah.
harder for them to be more interactive. It's, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
As you get bigger, depending on what's going on, like at times when I'm doing extremely well on my stream, I barely have any time to, you know, do stuff because I'm reaching out to people for sponsorships. I'm doing all sorts of like, getting together with people and events.
Right.
Um, if
That's
another stream team happens, I won't probably deny it.
yeah. That was actually a kind of an interesting concept because I know you can be part of some X amount of stream teams. I think maybe three, and
Three, I believe.
I remember because I'm on a stream team, Team Moms and Dads, and I got on it because I'm a mom and a dad or a dad, and but I know that Dr. Lupo's on that team, right?
Hmm.
And he has his own team, Team Rogue, and he will rarely stream under Team Moms and Dads, but he's always listed on the page as being a part of the team or whatever. So it's kind of interesting the choices that have to be made once you become a part of more than one stream team, right? Like, who do you represent at certain times, or what is the hierarchy of support? It's kind of a strange thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would figure depending on like if I get more stream teams, depending on what kind of support there is the one that like if there's more
Yeah,
support or more interactions, I would probably want to rep that one as like the one on my title,
yeah, I got you. That makes sense.
just because at the end of the day, even if it's a hobby or not, like we're all in it to like kind of snag as many viewers as we can to entertain.
Right. Um, So yeah, it brings up so many interesting questions. You mentioned a minute ago about sometimes when your stream's doing super good and you get real busy, which is I have talked to Modest about the same exact thing before, about how at some point you sort of become disconnected from maybe a community you started with, or you just don't have enough time to go back to that community and chat all day long. For instance, in the Twitch Kittens Discord, it's like the chat goes about 5,000 messages a minute, so it's impossible to jump in at any time, especially if you're not really just sitting on it all day. And the way I
Hmm.
sort of assumed, and you can confirm or deny this, but it's like once you get partnership, it becomes a whole nother world of work to do. It's not. I think a lot of people look at partnership like, oh, I'm partner, now I'm rich. It's like,
I can definitely tell you, you aren't gonna once partner is not the end.
right,
That is the beginning.
right,
Okay, so here's one of the things that I wanted to like mention about like achieving partner and all that.
yeah,
If anybody is like out there trying to become a Twitch partner or anything, don't look at partner as the end goal because that is not the end goal. That is just the first doorway into more possibilities.
right.
So it opens one doorway to maybe two or three more doorways. Think of it
Hmm.
that way.
And then you have to get your foot in all those doorways, I assume.
Exactly. And like I said, don't. Some people, it's not me that I'm annoyed with, but when people like I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter or whatnot. They're like, "Oh, doing that partner push." It's like,
No, yeah,
don't. If you come off the wrong way, you might attract the wrong viewers, or people might feel like, "Oh, well, he doesn't care about me."
right,
Like personally, I would like to when I have my stream, under a certain amount of viewers, I feel more connected to my viewers. I'm able to like remember conversations a little bit more about my viewers and make it a little more personable.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
quality over quantity.
Right.
And I mean, I've had viewers that have been around since the very beginning, like 50 followers
Wow.
still.
That's awesome. That's
But
yeah, cool foundation.
yeah, it's just the beginning,
And
honestly.
I love that you brought up the partner push thing because I've talked on this show about it before. How the term partner push is almost, unless it's a good friend of mine that this is, I'm not sure the strategy behind using partner push in like a title or on Twitter or something. There may be some strategy to it where people come to you more, raid you more or something. But we've had a talk in the show where it's like when I see that title, I almost purposely don't want to go to that channel because of that. And like you sort of mentioned, when the viewer numbers are lower, you can create this interesting bond with your viewership and sort of friendships that last for a while. As you said, you have viewers from forever ago, regulars, and partner push just immediately says, well, come to my channel, but you're just going to be, number 4,902. You're just another number, right? You're not a person. It's like,
Yeah,
give me to that
exactly.
75 average. That's what it seems like.
And I say it now, like even though at one time I kind of had those same thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I want to achieve this, but then I realized also, like you said, it sounds like you're just a number if that person's just partner push.
Right.
And I found it more enjoyable recently to not care about, even after partner, just having fun. It's been more enjoyable because full-time streaming is just like any other job. You might be playing video games, but when you play video games or certain video games every day, it can get to a point where it might seem what's the word? Burnout.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah, I could
And I've
totally
had
see that.
plenty of those phases where I felt like that just because I put insane amounts of hours and I've I used to be 7 days a week for like 2 years straight.
Oh, wow.
And just in the last 6 months or whatever, when I went to a 1 day off every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely doesn't feel like burnout anymore.
So the Sunday is kind of
I
like
get
that,
to enjoy.
yeah, that coveted day of rest or whatever. You can just kind of chill out and go do something other than having to worry. Oh, I gotta get on the stream in 4 hours and then stream for 8 hours a night or whatever it is.
Exactly. That's definitely, if anybody's out there wanting to achieve partner or anything or just streaming in general, make sure you have at least one me day a week.
Yeah, definitely. The wow, that's so interesting, and I love that you pointed that out because it's something that people don't think about. I mean, a majority of
I
the
didn't think
people.
about it when I was going hard in the paint.
Oh yeah, there you go. So yeah, kind of while you're pushing there, you sort of and I don't want to use that word. While you're trying to achieve that goal, you sort of like lose track of it. And I love the fact that so many people are on the partner push thing and it's just rush as fast as they can to what they perceive as the finish line. As we talked about how it's just kind of like it's like in WoW when you get to the level cap. Now you're starting the game. Now you can raid and go get gear, but it's like
You rush to that point,
yeah,
and now
and then you
you're.
sort of open the door and there's nothing there. You got to
Mhm.
go figure out your own way. Um, in terms of achieving partnership, and then maybe the streams after that, or plotting your course of okay, here's my strategy moving forward. Here's how I'm going to tackle partnership or achieve the goals now that I want to get to after partnership. How and I know you mentioned just a few minutes ago that now you have to go out maybe and find a sponsorship or be talking. You've mentioned before in our chats, maybe talk to developers, maybe talk at different conferences or something. How is that a pretty important part of your every day or a couple times a week? You really got to be on these emails to these different contacts and all that kind of stuff.
It depends on the situation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so like in the last couple months is when I've decided like I'm not going to like I was kind of like trying to do the full-time streaming and like make it my job.
Mm-hmm.
Um and don't get me wrong, it was great and all, and there were times when it was really good money, but I've kind of like, I'm near the end of my college degree. I've
Yeah.
got one more semester at most, and I've decided I'm still going to stream even after I get a job, but I'm going to I'm not going to worry as much. But depending on what's going on, like if there's new games coming out, particularly like so reaching out to developers, you want to reach out to developers at least months ahead before a game comes out.
Yeah.
Uh, like I do to try and get, for example, free copies because I've
Right.
been there where I had to pay for games as they came out, and that gets pretty expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
Uh, I was spending sometimes well over $400 a month in new games.
Jesus. Yeah.
But I mean, eventually you get to a point like success is determined by yourself.
Right.
For example, I have not had to pay for a game except for Bless Online in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And that's
yeah.
because, like you said, reaching out to developers or, doing those emails.
Mm-hmm. And how? I mean, that it sort of makes sense that a content creator or whatever term you want to call, a Twitch streamer is sort of like it for a game developer. It's almost another arm of publishing, right? It's another arm of marketing. Is essentially what it is.
Free
So,
advertisement.
right. So there would need to be some sort of like symbiotic relationship where, yeah, I'm not going to make this person pay for the game if they can market the game to another 1,000 people a night, or something like that, or 500 people a night. It doesn't make any sense to do that. Do you? I know that there was a big controversy in the video game journalism scene like a year ago about what they called sponsored content, about how they have articles that basically you'd have to put on there whether or not it was sponsored by a company. This article. Do you ever feel something like that when a company gives you a free copy or something? Do you feel like you have to look more favorably on it in order to get, maybe the next iteration? You have to be a little more favorable to that one, or something like that. Is there anything in that vein, or you just
Um,
sort of play it how you play it, and that's what the viewership expects, which is what the client would expect because more viewers coming in or trusting your word? I'm not sure how that seems like a weird gray area.
So it is a gray area for sure. For me in particular, I feel honesty is the best thing. I'm not going even if I don't particularly enjoy a game, that like I've learned to kind of adapt to. For example, I play Jurassic World. I don't really play
Yeah.
building games, or park builder games.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily my cup of tea, but I was offered, hey, do you want a free copy to play Jurassic World? I was like, sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the enjoyment that like park builders would have with it.
Yeah. Right.
I've become more or less open minded rather than thinking only what I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I will, if I don't enjoy a game or if I think a game is really bad, I will do it more in a, I'll do it at least in a constructive way, because at the end of the day, I didn't pay for the game.
Right.
I don't feel completely trashing a game is necessary, but also I don't feel like you need to completely, suck up to a developer.
Right. Which is great, and you mentioned, the adjective constructive. That's would be the important part. I think is that you can, like you said, you don't have to love the game, but you can give honest feedback about it that is constructive. Like, hey, maybe if they fix this one mechanic, this game would be a little more enjoyable or something. And then devs can look at that and get good feedback, or something like that.
Going on that, exactly what you just said. Probably one of the best ways to catch a developer's eye, especially
Mm-hmm.
whether a game is like bad or like there's some bad content or there's like some issues with the game, is if you are giving constructive feedback and not completely trashing a game. Hey, your game is fun and all, but there's a couple of issues. Like here, what do you think we can be done to fix it?
Yeah.
If you like come across from that approach, I've learned over the years, it's kind of like part of maturity and growing up too.
Mm-hmm.
If you come with that approach, developers will listen. If you
Right.
come with this is complete garbage, this is trash, or this is what you're doing wrong every time, the developers want to make their game the way they want to make it.
Yeah.
But if you're able to come at a more passive approach, and then you basically are giving them the ideas in a way that they're like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool or a good idea. I'm more likely to do it. It's
Yeah.
like if I come over to your house and you're making some food or something, right? And I tell you exactly what you need to do, what ingredients, how to do it. Are you gonna listen to me?
Maybe. No,
Maybe,
I hear what you're
like
saying.
know
Yeah.
you. But if I say, oh, occasionally I add some salt.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Uh huh.
you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
rather
Add a
than
different
saying
spice, it
telling
might try something
people,
different. Yeah.
it's a different way of swaying people to what you want.
And I'm sure it shows a level of, like you said, as in your words, as you're getting older or whatever. But it's a whole like professionalism thing to me. It's like if you want to expect to be treated like a professional and them to take your feedback honestly, you should also be acting like a professional when you're giving constructive feedback and things like that.
Exactly.
And when you on the topic of constructive feedback, how when you let's say one of the developers says, "Hey, try check out this game, try it on the stream, see what you think." How do you go about getting feedback back to those people? Is that a Twitter thing? Is that an email thing, or is that just they'll come sit in your stream and check it out and kind of listen from that?
It depends on the developer and the game, honestly. Like I'm not a big enough streamer where like always developers are watching me. Like no, if I get offered a game,
Mm-hmm.
um, unless maybe it's a particular genre like strategy or
Right.
ARPGs. Usually, those developers are they're smaller teams and they're more into listening to those that will be dedicated to a game.
Right.
And they will probably hang in the stream, like Total War Arena, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty small development team. Um, was constantly in communications with them. They were constantly in my stream, hanging out, listening to feedback. So that was one situation where I didn't have to like send emails as much. I still sent emails because I was really passionate about the game.
Right.
And then there's others like if they ask me for direct feedback, I will give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But most time, because again, being a full-time streamer, your time is limited, and depending on your
Right.
schedule, like I'm a college student too, I don't really have time to go on forums and do all this stuff unless I'm getting that like, hey, communication right back to me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I totally hear that, and that goes back to the you know, at some level, you're just too busy to visit every place in the world and comment on everything.
Exactly.
The how do you feel about and I don't know if you are a con person, if you go to PAX and all that kind of stuff, and TwitchCon, and I think we could briefly touch on that, but like BlizzCon, if you for the Diablo thing, is
I
that
would
something
love to
that's
go to
important to you every time you go? And like, do you try and go to every one? And when you go, I would love to hear sort of the not like the back room talk, but like when you go as a partner, in my mind, you have to go a little bit as a fan of kind of the whatever you're there for. If you go to BlizzCon or something, you're there sort of as a fan of Diablo. But also, I assume you go also wearing sort of the name tag of your brand and go in a business sense to try and talk to developers or talk to fans at the same time, but also developers sort of mainly to establish business connections in the future for maybe upcoming releases or something like that.
So I was a con newbie. TwitchCon last year was my first ever con that I've ever been to.
Nice.
I live in Florida, so I kind of don't have that many cons that are
Right.
near me, so it's expensive to go to any of them if I go.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to go to BlizzCon. I've never been able to get a ticket. I always
Oh yeah, because
either
they
miss
sell it in
the
like 30
window.
seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always either miss that window or it's already sold out, even though I was refreshing the page. Um, However, what I can say from my first experience at TwitchCon, best thing if you have a Twitch, I'm not wearing my Twitch partner jersey. I should have worn that. But if you go to a convention like that, if you're a partner, yeah, wear some partner jersey swag or something. Be proud of your brand. You want that. That's kind of one of the reasons you're going to these events. Probably not just also because you're a fan,
Yeah.
but if you are doing it for like a business purpose or to further yourself, take cards, um, you know, represent your brand. Don't be just, hi, my name's Wild Bill, here's my card.
Right. Yeah, actually getting
Get
a
to know
meaningful
people.
conversation. Yeah.
Exactly. And enjoy your time there. And I never expected to make all the friends that I actually still keep in touch with at TwitchCon. I probably made about like 20, 30 friends, and I keep in touch with more than half of them still.
Wow, that's awesome. Especially, I mean, both from a just a social perspective and being a social person having friendship relationships, but also just from branding. I mean, that's 30 people more that may not have known your name previously that now do. You know that I mean that can recognize that.
Exactly.
Um, so last year was your first year. Are you going this year?
I don't know that I'm going to go because I'm going on vacation to Alaska in September. And September and then October with
Yes, and
school,
October, I think. Yeah.
be a little difficult,
Yeah.
not just money wise, but school wise. So I don't know. Like I pretty much generally anything if I'm gonna go to an event or something,
Mm-hmm.
everything is done through the stream. Like
Right.
like even though it's technically my own money, it's any money I make in the stream usually goes right back into the stream, whether it pays for the internet bill, um, new computer parts, going to an event. Like last year, they paid for my TwitchCon,
Nice.
uh, plane flight ticket, the hotel, everything. So if I get the funds, then I'll probably go. If not, maybe
All
next
right.
year.
Everybody watching, go to Wild Bill's channel. Go get that money up there so he can come to TwitchCon and see us. Okay. um, no, that's it. It's interesting that you said about the sort of representing your brand and wearing the partner swag or something. That was the whole decision for me and trying to figure out if I wanted to go to TwitchCon. I'm not a partner, but for me,
You still represent your brand.
right, exactly. For me, going to TwitchCon was about um, not only meeting colleagues in the Twitch Kittens universe and on the stream and other people that I stream with and all this kind of stuff, but also it's mainly about taking meetings and meeting developers and getting, spreading the brand and all that kind of stuff. So I totally understand that, and that's 99% of the reason I'm going like, is to do that.
Another thing I would say, if you go to any of the cons, spend a lot of time with like the different developers of any games you might have interest.
Yeah,
Ask them questions because when you ask, they will. They're there. Obviously, it's part of their job, but they want to answer all the questions.
right.
They really do because the more interest you show, you don't know who I have direct lines of communications, for example, with the head community manager from Creative Assembly.
Hmm.
I talk to him every couple of weeks because he's a busy guy,
Right.
and like we talk whether it be gaming or about anything, and because of that, again, that's another key, key person that if there's events that he's been trying to get me to some events, but they focus really big on YouTubers more than Twitch,
Gotcha.
even though I'm a smaller like Twitch streamer, but they literally if they have something where they can bring a Twitch streamer, he said they've got me covered on that.
Awesome.
And you never know what kind of ties a developer can have. From
Yeah.
what I've learned in the gaming industry too, developers go between different companies all the time. So you could be working with us, helping a developer in a small game that goes into, for example, what Microsoft bought 5 more studios.
Studios. Yeah, I heard that.
And if you were like working with those devs, look at what connections you might have.
Yeah. Now look at where the network expanded to and all the different developers they now have contact with. Yeah, totally.
So that's another thing to keep in mind.
So you mentioned the card thing. That's a really good idea too. If you're a streamer on Twitch and wanna, it's the same because I travel a lot to conferences for my professional career, and
Okay.
it's exactly the same thing in that world, in the engineering world. Is you talk to someone usually about their product as we're talking now. In a conference that I usually go to that I just got back from in Texas, is basically I go to a conference for a tool that I work on every day. And when I go to this conference, it's a software tool. they just want to answer every question I have and also take notes on things that I find wrong with their tool. That's what the developers are there for. And so I, hand out the cards while I'm there and meet other different people and, get the networking thing going. It's an exact mimic to this industry
You
is what
get
it sounds like.
callbacks, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not everybody that you gave a card to, but you get something back, right?
Right. And also,
And
like you were saying, the direct line to the developers, that's how I can sort of initiate changes into the software tool that I use for work is, hey, this thing's a little messed up. Can you fix it? Is that going to come in a recent build? And then we talk on email for the next few months. It's exactly what you're saying with the community manager and the different guys that switch development companies all the time.
yep, it's the exact same.
So in Florida, it doesn't have many conferences. It doesn't have many cons.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the bad spot in terms of gaming. Like if I was in California or
Yeah,
like Nevada or Washington, I would even just drive to a bunch of these events because it would allow me to network. But
exactly. I live in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, so I feel you. No, but I was actually talking to Ginger and Zyfera and Modest, who are all, they're in California. So it's like it's pretty easy for them to go to. But I mean, easy. You have to still have to do the tickets and the hotels and everything like that. California's pretty big. It's not all like next door. But it's like
still getting just a hotel
still a
room
drive.
versus
Yeah,
a flight is better.
yeah, exactly. You're saving $600 or $700 or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, so they have access to all these different cons and everything. I'm like, okay, I have one event that we get to go to called Replay FX is a pinball event. There's some streamer friends of mine are pinball streamers. So we're doing that at the end of July, but that's like the closest it comes to a conference where I'm at. But yeah, so TwitchCon will be pretty fun. I'm kind of excited about meeting people there, and hopefully, Wild Bill, go to his channel right now. It's right below his name. Let me think. Let me look at my list. Oh, you mentioned school, and I have kind of a really basic list of topics on the screen, but we sort of just flow as we go, as we talk. You have a semester left, you said? And I'm pretty sure I saw on Twitter that you were doing some kind of like economic stuff. What are you studying?
My degree is in organizational management.
Nice.
So it's a little bit more specific than just a managerial degree. Like it
Yeah.
can be used in many different ways, from either working HR, or I can even be a consultant for a company how to be more efficient. Like take a look at
Yeah.
how they do their operations and think of ways to improve upon it. Um, I probably will go for my master's even just because the VA is going to pay for it.
Nice.
And
Yeah, you might as well use that, right? It's
yeah,
basically
might as
free,
well. I mean,
right?
even if it sucks, I mean, who the heck gets to go to school for free and then have, a master's degree, which nowadays is you kind of need a master's to get really good paying jobs anymore.
Right. Yeah,
Bachelor's
especially in
isn't
certain
really cutting it
fields. Yeah.
anymore.
There's a company I used to work for, Booz Allen Hamilton, that is really well known for their managerial organization structure thing. They kind of bring in their consultant people to kind of rework organizations. So I think I know exactly what you're talking about. That sounds about right. The So let's talk about E3.
Okay.
We talked previously. You have your list. I would love to know what's on your list of upcoming games you must play, and that you're kind of looking forward to. You don't have to rank them, but stuff you're really, really looking forward to coming up.
Well, I got the list right here. Definitely Fallout 76.
Yes.
A little bit about Fallout. I never played Fallout until Fallout 4.
Oh,
So I don't know if there's any Fallout diehard fans. They're probably over there cringing in their seats, like, "Oh,
how could you not
guy."
play New Vegas? Yeah.
Exactly. Like from what I heard, it was New Vegas and 3 were just supremely better in terms of like the RPG elements, and like just the gameplay was overall more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Um, Either way, Fallout 4 being my first introduction to Fallout, I never even beat the game, and I got like over 250 hours because I just always found something else to do in there.
Yeah.
There's just so much you can do in that game. So I'm definitely excited, especially for multiplayer, because I'm sure you notice I like to talk to people, and like a lot of the games I like to play multiplayer if I can.
Right. Yeah, I see you playing. You've been playing Diablo 3 like crazy with people for the
Hmm.
last couple days.
And that's what I like to do most, playing multiplayer, because it's more fun. You're not what's the word you're not predicting what's gonna happen off of an AI.
Right. Yeah, that mode looks fantastic. I cannot wait to play that.
Um, so yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm kind of curious about Cyberpunk. I don't know much about it, but a lot of people in my stream have been like mentioning it.
Yeah.
So I've in the past just kind of like shrugged off what people mentioned. Oh, are you looking into this game? As now that I'm partner, I kind of like am more open to other games, because if you experiment, you don't know what you're going to find. For Honor, I did not expect to do well, and within like 3 days of streaming For Honor, I had well over 500 viewers.
Jesus Christ.
I started with like 20 to 40 on day one, and it just fucking snowballed.
Yeah.
And that was just an experiment. I didn't even expect anything of it, but I had fun with it.
Right.
Um, so I'm curious about Cyberpunk. That looks kind of fun. I'll probably revisit For Honor, of course, the new expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always like flips out when I come back for a short stint of For Honor. I'm nowhere near, like I said, I'm nowhere near mechanically skilled anymore at that game, but it's still fun. Beyond Good and Evil looks kind of interesting too. That's the one with like the monkey or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and like space, and I don't know. It looks really cool.
Yeah, that's more.
Assassin-
That's more
Go
like
ahead.
a little bit story driven type game, right? That's a little more.
I like story-driven
Yeah.
games occasionally. Like I definitely can't wait for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That.
I
I
was
mean, yeah, that's a huge fan favorite game.
I was 12 years old when the first one came out, so I was at the good age to be playing it, and now it's like, okay, I got to play the third one.
Right.
But excited for that one. Um, I don't know about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I haven't even completed an Assassin's Creed game since like the third one.
I don't know if I've ever completed one. I dove off a lot of rooftops into hay. I think I stealth killed a lot of people, and I ended up sort of losing interest at some point halfway through the game. I don't remember why. It just kind of fell out of it.
They're beautiful games that
Yeah.
I can see where people lose interest, because I started to after like the third game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. We have There's Conqueror's Blade. That looks like another kind of cool game.
Oh, I think I
'Cause
missed that one. I haven't heard of that one.
it's kind of like a hack and slash from what I saw. I didn't see much of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I like your occasional hack and slash, like Dynasty Warriors, but like older school Dynasty Warriors, not the new ones. The new ones are kind of
Oh my god, I love the old Dynasty Warriors. Spent so much
when they
time
were in
just
groups of
slaughtering.
five. When
Yeah.
they were in groups of five, rather than like there's 500 dudes that you're just knocking in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Um, Doom, definitely interested in that.
You played the
The
first
max.
one, or I mean,
I've
not
played
the
every
first
single
one,
Doom.
but yeah, the
Every
remake
single
was
one.
so good, and the originals were so good too.
Oh, the remake was just like perfect.
Like it's unbelievable. I downloaded it sort of on a nostalgia thing because I grew up playing the first Doom, and so I'm like, oh, I'll check it out. You know, whatever. I don't have high hopes, and the game is just really good. It's so over the top, and the graphics are unbelievable in the game. But the
Oh,
game is just
it's what
good.
I imagined Doom would be if it was not like, the original Doom.
Right, exactly. It's just blow shit up all the time and blood everywhere. That's the game.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I got a couple more here. Last of Us Part 2 looks insane.
That's yeah. That game is huge. I've talked about it on the streams a couple times, and the first one came out when my son was born. So I
Hmm.
was basically in this room with a controller in my hand, and he's like strapped to my chest in one of these carrying things, and I just walked around with him playing this game nonstop for a week or more. It was so good. Yeah, I'm
Let's
super
see.
excited about that game too.
Um, Ghost of Tsushima, because it kind of like looks like a hack and slash, but a little bit
Yeah.
more choreographed.
Mm-hmm.
And it just that video they showed with the leaves and the grass and everything blowing just looks beautiful. Looks freaking ridiculously good.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil. I don't. Did they show gameplay of Resident Evil 2? Is it
I
like literally the same as the original Resident Evil 2, or is it a
this is
little bit
this is the
different?
super remake or whatever, right? The HD thing.
Yes.
I don't remember seeing any gameplay footage.
I don't think there was any. They just showed like the trailers. Like if they do it like the original, from PlayStation 1,
Yeah.
that's cool to me. If they change it up, that's cool too. I think my favorite Resident Evil was 4, then after that it kind of got like a little bit.
Which is the one where they went to? I forget where it was, but it seemed like it was like African
That
sort
was
of
Resident Evil
D-state
5.
5. Okay, yeah, that one seemed. That was also the one where it was the push button events or whatever it was were big in that version as well, where you had to dodge out of the way and everything.
Yeah.
That game was a little unexpected when I played it. Because I grew up playing Resident Evil 1, and so you're in the mansion. It's all very kind of
I
on
missed
edge
the
the whole
puzzles.
time. Yeah, exactly. The puzzles were amazing. That dog jumping through the window. I mean, I call it a dog, but whatever it was, jumped through the window in the very beginning of the game or whatever, that first hallway. Ugh,
Hmm.
still scares me. I bet you I'd play that game today, I'd still jump at it. I know it's coming.
I probably would too.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I miss about Resident Evil, the puzzles.
Yeah.
Like the puzzle, it wasn't even the surviving or like the killing of the zombies. It's mostly just the puzzles. Some of them were kind of hard at first,
Yeah, they were. I remember that. Why do I
and
remember
they've
something
gotten
about that?
too simple lately. 7 was actually good though.
I have 7. I haven't finished it yet. There's I forget who the hell it is. Somebody's in TwitchGuns on the stream team that is streaming it lately, and I've been sort of just watching through it. The game was awesome. It's way different than the other games, but it's
Well, that first
pretty
person, I
interesting.
didn't think it was gonna work.
Yeah, neither did
I,
I. Yeah,
but it is even better on the jump scares because I jumped so many times during that game.
yeah. And you also like even when you're not jumping, there's this weird creepy aura that like I'm gonna turn. There's gonna be something in the corner. Like the Blair Witch Project. The first time you saw it, it's like a weird
Hmm.
thing.
Let's see. I got two more games here. Spider-Man. I'm kind of interested because that
Yeah,
one looks like. Do you remember the old school PlayStation 2 Spider-Man?
I want to say that I've played it, but I can't remember it off the top of my
It's
head.
been a long time.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that one,
Uh
obviously
huh.
with a lot more updates. And I liked that one Spider-Man 2 off of PlayStation 2. After that, I didn't really like any more of the Spider-Mans as of late. Um, so I'm kind of curious, like, to see if that's gonna be give me that same feel, or is it gonna be too, I don't know,
You sort of
try to go over the top?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the new Spider-Man would be a little bit like I don't know if you played Batman Arkham Origins and
I did not.
that sort of series. It was really I don't want to say open world, but it was kind of you could go anywhere in Gotham and do different things, and the fight system was fantastic. It's kind of what you see in the movies where some superheroes surrounded by 50 guys and they're sort of doing combo moves. It's what you expect out of Batman. And I sort of expect the same thing out of Spider-Man. Like he's able to kind of get around a lot of attacks at once. It was really interesting. But that's how I kind of was hoping Spider-Man would go. And I need to look at the trailer for it, but I haven't seen it yet.
My final game of choice, they didn't show this at E3, but I know they had a booth. Um, Total War Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, is that the latest installment?
That's gonna be the newest installment coming spring of next year.
Mm.
And I mean, I've been playing Total War since 2001, the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say I'm a fanboy.
So yeah, and I'm sure you have some contacts in that world too, on the development side, since you've been playing those games for so long and are such a huge fan. The So I noticed that none of the games you mentioned have a battle royale mode.
Yeah,
As every single game there had a battle royale mode, it seemed.
yeah, I've never been one for battle royale. Or if I play a shooter, I don't like Call of Duty really. I don't
Yeah.
like Battlefield is more what I would like
With vehicles and stuff.
large scale battlefield with vehicles. Because the last shooter I put a lot of time into, do you
Hmm.
remember Call of Duty World at War?
Uh, the name is familiar. I don't remember
It was
exactly.
an old Xbox 360 title,
Okay.
and it was like the last World War II Call of Duty they did before they started going into like modern warfare and all that.
Hmm.
And it had large scale maps. The maps were not these tiny maps where you run around a corner and you're running into somebody every 5 seconds.
Right.
Like when I think of shooters, I want the large scale, like huge battlefields. You're not just like running and gunning, because that's not necessarily how it would work out. And at least in that one, you still had that semblance of you're not just a running gunner. You could get sniped if you're not careful, or you relied on people's help a little bit. Or post scriptorum would be one that I would like. Or planet. Have you ever played Planet Side?
Yes, I did play that briefly. It might have been Planet Side 2 that I played. I don't
It probably
remember.
was Planet Side too.
Okay.
But those are more the shooters that I would spend any time in. I don't really enjoy any other kind of shooters that much.
It seems like those, I mean, what you're describing is almost like you are enjoying more of the possibility of a strategy element in those games. With the vehicles, I know you can create some kind of interesting plays and movements with your squad or whatever on Battlefield and games like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I enjoy.
Right. Yeah, it's freaking Battle Royale is like every single game nowadays. I think they
Well,
announced or released footage on like 5 different Battle Royale games at E3.
can you blame the developers right now?
No, I
It's
guess not.
technically a very simple system to copy,
Yeah.
and like this is the thing that I've talked to my stream a lot about. Like a lot of developers, yes, they're on the battle royale train because right now that is what's popular.
Hmm.
If you go back to early '90s all the way up to like 2002, all about the strategy game, StarCraft 2,
Yeah.
freaking uh that was when what League of Legends and Dota started to come around.
Hmm.
Well, off of like Warcraft 3 and all that.
Hmm.
Um all these different strategy elements were these strategy games were what's in. Now it's your battle royale.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's
Fortnite has had some kind of crazy success. It's like
oh, it's ridiculous where
intense.
they I was gonna play that game when it was still had 1,000 viewers, and I kind of regret that I never
You could be
took that
playing
leap.
with Drake. Can you imagine that?
I could have been playing with Drake and Ninja.
No, actually, I started. I mean, not started streaming, but a big game I played was Player Unknown Battlegrounds for a while, and I sort of after that game got a little too boring. I started playing Fortnite, and that was quickly a little too boring, and moved out of that game. So there's actually a lot of the guys who stream it every day are complaining about it nowadays. So it's not surprising that more developers are creating a little bit of a different twist on the battle royale, trying to catch that interest again.
Well, again, going back to that, like a lot of companies, is it better to make an entirely new idea
Right.
or copy another idea that almost everybody in the battle royale scene is crying for another battle royale that's different?
Yeah.
So it's basically a quick cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
And, most battle royales end up selling well more than 10, 20 million copies
Yeah, easily. Or
easily.
they come out free and do cosmetics and then sell 10 million in cosmetics or whatever.
Exactly. So it's a really, from a business standpoint, it's a smart move.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, you were mentioning a minute ago, it's sort of like depending on the type of game you're building, you already have all those systems kind of built in. You have hitboxes and hit checks and firing and everything like that. Now you just bound a map and throw 100 people in it. Like, I mean, there's not, it can't be that much of development side road to building, for instance, the base of Black Ops 4, I think is the new Black Ops game, and they have a mode of Battle Royale or something like that. And
Hmm.
so it couldn't have been that far off to the side. They could have put a small team on it, just said, build a Battle Royale mode, that's it, and we'll do the game.
Well, I mean, the trick is for each battle royale getting something different. Like the have you seen the Realm Royale? That one actually has some pretty cool
I've been playing it.
mechanics and has been doing really well.
Yeah, I've been playing it. It's so yeah, that sort of was my trend. I went from PUBG for a long time, then it got too boring. I went to Fortnite. That was quickly. I didn't like it. Then I moved to this game called Radical Heights, which it's a joke on my channel that every game I stream dies horribly or gets shot in the head out back of like a horse barn or something. So Radical Heights I played a lot, and then that was killed by the developer. And then I found this Realm Royale, which, like you just said, it has different elements in it. It's not the same old thing with Fortnite. It has, the chicken thing and then this whole
The
legendary crafting
Forge.
thing. Yeah, the Forge is a really interesting concept, especially since it alerts the map that you're doing it. So it's like a whole different fortification game. It's pretty
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, again, like I'm not a big fan of battle royale, but like
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you don't keep tabs because
right.
if they could have some sort of strategy RTS battle royale, I'll be on that train in a heartbeat.
You heard it. Someone develop it. uh,
Right? Like so then that would be my cup of tea, and that's a possibility too.
that might be kind of interesting to think about how that might work. Huh.
Go
Uh,
between the villages recruiting
yeah.
as the map gets smaller.
Well, it'd be yeah. You could almost do it like in the Total War style. Have your different squads or armies or things like kind of strategically placed and pushing towards a certain area. That's we're gonna have a whole nother segment on this. It's gonna
Oh,
be
I
the
could talk gaming and all sorts of stuff for days, man. I like this.
the So, and I've also noticed that a lot of those big streamers that were big PUBG people or big Fortnite people are, like you said, are also the guys that will test a day in the new games and keep moving back and forth between, okay, let's check out Realm Royale. Radical Heights, before it was brutally decapitated, had
All the big streamers are trying it.
yeah, everyone's going
King
to try the new
Richard, a
games.
bunch of them.
Yeah. And I know that Summit actually quit playing Fortnite and moved to Realm Royale. I think maybe full time. I'm not sure, but he
He's moving full time to everything, all left to right and center all the time.
right, yeah, trying to get that doc money. um,
I mean, he's still doing good for himself though.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, all those guys are the top guys. Um, so that's Realm Royales are kind of are a little bit out for you, but sort of like you'll try it if it's interesting at least. Um,
Yeah, I would probably try it. Like, I mean, I've played PUBG. I can kind of hang with some good players. Like,
yeah,
I probably have like a 40% win rate with PUBG when I play with my friends.
yeah.
Because I usually just, hey, what do you want me to do? And they're like, okay, do this, and I just do it.
See,
I'm fairly decent at most games I play.
right, and I could sort of see that because I think the strategy background would add a lot to that game in particular. I think Fortnite has a different element to it, but PUBG is a little more slowed down, a little more accurate shooting, a little more strategic, I think, than the others. But
Yes,
and it's a little
definitely.
more, real world simulation type of thing. Which I think there's another game that was displayed at E3. I forget the full name of it, but it was something Maverick something or other that seemed more realistic like PUBG in terms of a battle royale. So that might be the new thing. I'm pretty sure that was at E3 at least. But then again, I know Julia and Modest were at the PUBG booth or whatever it was, or after event, because I saw pictures from that. So I don't know, they may have something new coming too. And hopefully it's
Uh,
fixes to the game.
yeah, maybe. I mean, they're very good at networking with all the people.
Yeah,
As soon as something pops up that's really popular, they've got ties and they're getting supported by the
right.
devs.
So I have some more questions about partnership. And if anyone in the chat has a question, feel free to post it, and then I'll ask. Since I guess I did want to ask about your stream time, and we do a segment a little bit called balance, where it's like, some people have families, I have children or whatever, so it kind of dictates the time you're able to stream and the length of time. You have school, and what is your how did you come up with your hour set? How did you come up with this is the hours I'm going to stream? This is the time that I have for school. Do those ever sort of compete, and you have to sort of lay the groundwork of no, this is homework time, or or something like that?
Um, for my schedule, I like to game at night. Just I'm a vampire. I like being up at night and then sleeping during the day. That's just one of the things about me that I enjoy. School, I usually set aside uh 2 hours or more a day just to make sure I've got everything in check.
Yeah.
Usually I try and get ahead if I can on schoolwork. That way I don't have to worry about it. Like, oh man, if I stream tonight, I might miss an assignment or something. I try and get a few days ahead. And the reason my schedule ended up being like what it is, I found streaming around 9:30 p.m. Eastern, you get a little bit, anybody on the East Coast for a good 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all Central and West Coast for
Right.
the
Yep.
next like 3 hours after that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time like West Coast is going to sleep, anyone in the EU is pretty much starting to wake up. So it's a good balance of I hit everybody around the world.
Right. And you know
Um,
what? I actually noticed that Julia has about a little bit of the same schedule. I think she streams at night as well. And I was actually thinking about. I was going to ask you you also sort of get a little bit of a benefit out of East Coasters streamers ending their stream, and then
exactly.
so then they're looking for friends to raid or something or to host for the night or before they go to sleep, and pass some people off to good people they know.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting strategic decision in terms of time frame for streaming.
Another thing I can mention, like part of the choice, I've noticed that yes, there are more viewers on Twitch during the day, but there's far many more streamers than there are at night.
Right.
Whereas the numbers are, don't reflect as many the fact that there's less streamers. So
Right.
think of it this way: if you're trying, one of the things I say to most streamers, find a game you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's like three different roads to success on Twitch. You can either be like a top tier player and get on a leaderboard. You'll get noticed very quickly.
Right.
Even if you're in a game like Fortnite, if you were number one on Fortnite, I'm sure there's like leaderboards or something on that.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not totally sure.
Or
I
like
guess.
there's a couple of things on that. I know there was for Honor, so there has to be for that.
Yeah. Plus they have
If you
tournaments
were
and
number
stuff.
one on like player kills or a bunch of things, people are gonna find you really quick.
Yeah.
Um, if there's a game that's maybe like levels, like if you're, levels are a sign of either how much time you've played or how good you are,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a way that people can see that,
Oh,
that's
like
going to
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
that's going to also bring people in. Smaller directories are actually the best to grow, especially as a newer streamer,
Mm-hmm.
because if you think of the law of averages, the more people there are doing something, the less likely you're gonna actually get noticed.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I've heard a lot of things about, where you appear in a directory, depending on the amount of time someone has to scroll or something like that, is super important. So if you're on,
It's very
obviously,
important.
like yeah, if someone clicks on a game and you're in the top 3 rows of Fortnite, you're gonna have tons and tons of viewers. If you click on a smaller PUBG or something, you're down in the I gotta scroll 7 times to find you. It's just you're just lost in the noise essentially at that point.
Basically, anybody that already followed you beforehand is all you're gonna get almost.
Right. So how do you feel about a site like? Do you use something like Twitch Strike sometimes or that sort of algorithm, or do you just sort of suss it out on your own, do your own research on Twitch, and find out what you think might be lower, or are you more in the camp of I just play whatever I want?
What's Twitch Stripes or
Or
what was that?
TwitchStrike.com. It's a website that has some algorithm that sorts out. They have a rating for different games on there and it takes into account, like you were saying, the directory listing of about where you'd be, the number of hosts for a game, and the number of channels that are hosting a game, and the number of people that are watching that game, and that can give you some sort of relative ranking on what you should play if you want to grow. I think Sully Gnome does it a little bit in some of their statistics, but Twitch
Oh, I'll have
Strike
to
is
look
the
into that.
yeah Twitch Strike is the a name I hear a lot for going quickly to see something without looking at your own stats. And I know some streamers in TK, some streamers that I know personally, when they're thinking about a new game, they'll go there before they go live to determine what they're playing for the night. Um, and I sort of have a little bit of mixed feelings on that because I play everything. I'll sort of lean a little bit Battle Royale if it's an interesting game, but I'll play pretty much any game. And to me, that seems almost like if I'm not in the mood to play it, but I know the Twitch Strike rating is, 30, and the game I want to play is at a 3, I almost feel bad playing the game that I don't want to play.
Um, so on that, I would say this is a very kind of like there's many different answers to this.
Yeah, I agree.
You need if it depends on your goals for
Right.
one. Like if your goal is yes, you want to kind of make this a job or like make some money doing streaming, and this is like I'm going off of this goal right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to get partner and do all these things. You stream a popular game with a relatively small directory,
Mm-hmm.
just to build up your base. Um, that's one of the best ways to build up, a following. Even if say you get to a point after a few months, you get like 50 viewers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You started with 5, and you go to another directory and you lose like 20 of those viewers. Hey, you have 25 more viewers than you started with that are following you in another directory. Now you're higher on the list.
Right.
The best thing I say, you want to enjoy your games.
Mm-hmm.
If you aren't enjoying your games, it's going to show whether you're using camera or not. I don't really use a camera as of late. I'm sure you noticed because I'm kind of just like relaxing.
Yeah.
Um, if you aren't enjoying it, people are gonna pick up on it, and you're not going to retain people
Right.
if that's your goal. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Now, me personally, I have kind of paid attention to some games. Like I said, I was looking into Fortnite because I thought it was going to be big, and I just kind of missed the bus
Right.
because at the time that I would have transitioned, I would have been like one of the top 3 streamers
Oh
and
man.
very
Yeah.
quickly grown. But I also, it would have been the time to learn it all and also like be where some of the pros are because they've been playing it so much. Because big thing about those games, you can't stop playing them. You stop
Right.
playing them
Exactly.
for any period of time, or those per types of particular games you stop playing for a particular time. You either miss out on something new that came up, or your skills kind of like lag behind.
Right. Exactly. It's
Um,
oh god.
oh, go ahead.
I would. It's That's interesting, that last comment, because that is I've had a talk with Jamorian, who I believe is also a Team Calico member. He plays more Minecraft type games, and Kerbal Space Program and games like that. So when I first came into Twitch Kittens, he talked to me about a couple of friends of his that also play Kerbal Space Program, that are partner streamers and pretty big streamers. And he was telling me that one of the big problems they've had, and we've talked about it on this show previously, is that they can't play anything they like, because as soon as they do, they lose like 90% viewership. And at some point for them, it became that this is their main source of income. So you sort of get trapped in this weird sort of realm where you want to play something you like, but you can't because then you can't make rent that month, or something like that. There's other
Well,
complications to income.
going perfectly on that. Look at Ninja, or like even if when he was playing Realm Royale, he had like 30,000 less viewers,
Oh yeah,
which is actually still significant. I mean, 30,000. I can't even get 2,000.
right,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
so
30,000 is
that's
crazy.
actually pretty significant. And any of the other streamers, like I paid attention, King Richard, for example, he played Realm Royale, and he was getting anywhere between 15 and 20,000 a night, and he was getting like 5.
Right.
That is one thing that will happen, no matter probably to just about every streamer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Lyrics probably one of the few exceptions.
Yeah, he's yeah,
Um,
he's sort of embedded himself into the. He's like almost more Twitch than he is a game. It's
mhm.
yeah,
He's pretty much one of the few exceptions where he can even actually just get more from playing another game
right. Yeah,
because
because his
it's a
people will
new game.
stay, and he'll eat up all the other people, all the new directory
Exactly.
people.
It's very hard for any Twitch streamer to be variety and maintain like about the same audience or always keep growing.
Right.
That is one of the hardest things to do on Twitch.
Yeah, and when Jim in some of the talks that Jim and I had, it was about how these guys would they couldn't get away from Kerbal. What they eventually ended on was they would stream Kerbal for the regular amount of time. They'd stream 8 hours a day, and then the last hour of the day they would go and play PUBG, and it would sort of over like a month time they would monitor how many viewers they lost and how many they gained from doing that, and it became like a thing where they could sort of gauge how much time they could commit to playing something else and then slowly get their viewers used to it. It seemed like quite a hassle, but I get it.
I've done that
Oh yeah, okay.
actually in the past. That's probably the smartest way to go about changing directories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, make it gradual because if you, for example, if I have been a Diablo streamer this entire time and I had always like 500 viewers, and the very next day I just decide I'm playing something that's not even an ARPG.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, anybody that likes ARPG, most people that like, if you play a game, usually another game that's of similar type,
Yeah.
you'll probably keep your audience.
Uh-huh.
But when you just like flat out switch it, it's very hard to retain the audience. Switching the last 1 to 2 hours is actually a really good strategy. You might lose some of your viewers or a lot of your viewers, but you're not going to lose 90% from starting in that directory at the get-go.
Right.
And now you're higher on that directory. So any new viewers that are new to your channel or because you're higher on the directory are going to be, flocking to your stream a lot more often.
Right. Yeah, they'll see you as, oh, this guy must know what, it must be is a name stay here in this directory or something like that. Yeah, I could totally it's so interesting. We talk a lot about the theory of Twitch and the game of Twitch on the show, and it's like always interesting to hear different perspectives on it. The oh, so
I can give you a perfect example of this actually.
Yeah.
Going back to Quinn69.
Mm-hmm.
Big Diablo streamer from the past. Used to at his peak in Diablo was getting like 10,000 plus viewers.
Jesus. Yeah.
And I mean nobody gets that on Diablo anymore, or even like nobody, just nobody in general, unless it's just some big name that decides I want to play a little bit of Diablo.
Right.
He ended up transitioning, and I'm sure he took like a big pay cut and everything to Path of Exile, but he retained a lot of people because it's also an ARPG kind of style game.
Yeah, similar game, right? Yeah.
And because even though he had like 10,000 viewers and he transitioned to like PoE, he lost like 4,000 or 5,000 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
But having that many in that directory in a game that was already a bigger directory, if he wasn't streaming Diablo,
yeah,
he was at number one. So
right.
what do you think happened? Everybody goes to number one. Like I'd say 75% or more audience on Twitch clicks the very first stream just to see why is this person so big, and if it's entertaining, which oftentimes it is,
right?
They stick around. They don't even bother to go look at somebody else, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it.
Right.
I'm
yeah,
sure other people have done it.
That's exactly how I first saw the Doc stream. I was watching a PUBG channel, clicked on it, he was the first one. That's it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And his entertainment meant you didn't even go looking at anybody else probably for a while.
No, and he was actually the first sub that I had on Twitch, or that I committed to. I have since not subbed back to his channel, but I've talked about it on the show before. I know I keep saying that, but it's his show, not necessarily. I'm not always in agreement with the doc on a bunch of different things, but his show is really influential to this show in sort of showing me that it doesn't just have to be you sitting around playing games. It could be other things. His show. He does like a crazy show where he has all these different
Oh, he
overlays and
does
stuff.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So
He
that
does,
was
he's an entertainer just in general.
right. Yeah, I mean, you see him at TwitchCon or something. He's never out of character. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's that was really influential on how I wanted to craft sort of what we do here. But yeah, he's one of those guys that would switch games, lose 75% of his viewership, and still be number one in a different directory. I mean, that's just
But then he starts to gain a new following in that direction.
exactly. And it's like that's pretty interesting about Quinn switching from Diablo to PoE because aren't those I don't way more about the Diablo community than I ever would, but I would imagine those two communities aren't best friends in terms of fandom.
I mean, you got your diehard PoE and Diablo fans, but
Yeah.
overall, almost I'd say like 80 or 90% of the Diablo player base has at least tried PoE, and like a good portion of them enjoy it as well because of the complexity. Because PoE is actually far more complex.
Oh, okay.
It's way more complex, but it's also you end up being solo a lot.
Okay.
Like not for anything. It's just for efficiency and everything.
Yeah.
You just end up being solo. And
Huh.
Diablo, at least you more often play in groups.
I know that one of the big drivers for me, because I played Diablo 3 when it first came out, and this is coming from someone who never played Diablo 2, but when Diablo 3 came out, I was kind of excited, and I bought it right away. And I'm pretty sure, I might be misremembering, but when the game first came out, wasn't there something about how you could use real money to buy items or something like that?
Yeah, I made a lot of money during that time.
Did you? Nice.
Oh, that I paid my Mustang off with that money.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, I remember then, and I sort of fell out with it after a while. I don't remember exactly why, but then when they came out with the whole seasons thing, it's pretty exciting, like to get back into it just for that brief season, or whether they come up with the new gear or something like that. That was a really cool system, and I've been back to it a few times since then. But when you were saying, and I saw you playing last night, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, when you were basically just doing greater rift keys and things, or something like that. And I remember doing that with a group of friends that I had, where you just sort of rotate keys and keep, blasting through rifts, grabbing gear.
The good old day of rotating the keys because each key was a level.
Yeah, does that not happen anymore?
Oh no, like your rift key, once you've opened, say, like a 65, you can always open a 65 off of any rift key.
Oh, okay.
They've changed it now, so you don't have to build your keys up.
Oh, okay, cool. I guess I haven't been back in a while.
That's like 11 seasons ago.
Oh, yeah, it's been quite a while. Okay, so on partnership, because this is my favorite topic as of this season, starting on this show. So we mentioned before about how some people really sort of focus on partnership as being the end goal of their whole stream life, and that once they get it, they'll be, as we sort of mentioned, like Summit or Ninja or one of these guys has 100,000 subs or some insane shit like that. That, not to say that it's without work, because obviously Ninja probably does an enormous amount of work to get what he has, and all partners do this crazy amount of work.
He's been in the gaming, like, not even Twitch, just like gaming with professional gaming and all that, like 10 years.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
It's something like ridiculous, and like,
yeah,
that's a lot of work. I mean, obviously it's paying it off now.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
But imagine the amount of work just to get there. I mean, think of Twitch. If you really is that your primary goal to make it your job and like make money, it's going to take a lot of work. It's just like starting your own business. You can't start your own business and expect it to run itself instantly.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to get to, was that some people have this expectation that, and it's because of I think it might be a little bit of an issue with the affiliate program, where someone will they'll start streaming 2 weeks later, they have affiliate. And so if it took 2 weeks to get affiliate, now that means that through some exponential explanation in their head, that means that in 1 month they'll be partner. And it's a crazy expectation. We see it all the time on the TK Discord. Like, it's unbelievable that people expect that.
That is a ridiculous, honestly, absolutely ridiculous expectation.
Right.
For one, at one point, you needed 500 plus consistent viewers to get partner. Nowadays, it's like 75.
Yeah, I think it's we've had a talk on this show a couple of times about and I've talked with Modest about it as well, and some of the other the admins for TK, that the 75 concurrent average viewership or whatever it is, that's just to hand in the application to be partner. That's not an automatic yes. And I know several people that have applications in right now that have either been declined previously or they think they're going to be declined again because there's other elements to the partnership reward, if you want to call it, or the partnership status, which there's a lot of talk about how there's something about like an average chat speed or an average unique viewers in chat or something like that that Twitch looks at now. So it's basically to avoid forcing partnership on people by rating them over and over again, is what I've heard. That the chat speed has, or the chat unique viewers has something to do with it. But
A lot of it. There's a lot of things. I can tell you, I had 35 plus denials
oh wow,
for
okay,
partner. I mean, even when, for example, when I had for 9 months straight, I was getting like 500 to 700 viewers on Diablo,
yeah,
and I got denied every single time.
wow, holy
And
shit,
that
yeah.
was when the requirements were, 500 plus.
Right,
Obviously, what they're doing with their new system, it's becoming a little bit. They're making automation easier on themselves.
right,
If a channel doesn't have 75 concurrent viewers on average for at least 30 plus days,
mm-hmm.
then it's kind of like automatically to the back because there's more and more streamers. So the more streamers there are, the more people are trying to apply.
Right, exactly,
And like you just said, a lot of people, they'll get their affiliate and expect, oh, I can be a partner. So they're flooding the emails of like trying to be partner.
exactly, yep,
So, they're making it a lot more automated so it's easier on themselves. I can say it took me almost 4 years to get partner.
that's awesome. I mean, not awesome that it took that long. Awesome to hear that experience in that I mean, it comes with all this extra experience and lessons learned. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, going off of that too, like, remember earlier I said burnout. I know people that within a year or less get partner,
Yeah.
and they aren't streaming long after partner
Oh wow.
because they got partner, but they burnt themselves out doing it in that 1 year. Some people have a little bit more, endurance. Others maybe not. But what's the point of achieving something and then all of a sudden you stop?
Exactly. And do you think that has anything to do, at least a little bit, with maybe not necessarily a delusion, but a misconception of what partnership means? And maybe they don't understand how much work it is after they get it. That they get there like, oh, I just went through all this hell to get here, and now I have to do more to make anything significant. It's I could see that as being sort of a wet blanket thrown on top of some expectations.
Everything in life was easy, we'd all be millionaires, right?
Exactly.
So on that, yeah, like once you've achieved partner, what you've done is essentially given yourself a nice deep breath. First step's done.
Right. Now it's time.
Now
Yeah.
to really get down to the grind if I want to like make this work out.
Exactly.
Because partners get like paid earlier. We also get, I think,
Right.
a little bit higher benefit on our Twitch subs. By the way, at first I kind of was against the affiliate thing because I literally achieved partner like 2 weeks after getting affiliate when they rolled it out.
Oh, jeez.
So I was like a little bit against it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I think it's fantastic because like I know people that have like 300 subs on affiliates. Hey, that's almost getting ready to pay for like a little, a 30-hour a week job if they're like in college or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, friends. Yeah. Go ahead.
I didn't have affiliate when I was doing the first 2 to 3 years of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved that. So I think some people have to count their blessings in a sense because I went 2 to 3 years with no subs, no, like all I got was donations, if anything.
Right.
And
No,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, I totally hear that. That's so I started on Twitch. This October will be my 5th year streaming,
Oh
and
wow.
it has been forever. I mean, I took a couple breaks when my children were born, but it's like I mentioned the joke about all the games dying a horrible death that I play because I have been trying to sort of mainline a game for a long time. And every game I try dies. So it's been WildStar. It was this other mobile game, Radical
Oh,
Heights. All
WildStar
these
was
games are.
fun.
WildStar was so fun, and it was completely mismanaged and mismarketed, and it died on its own cross essentially. But the yeah, so there's no. I got affiliate. I think last October or something like that. That's 4-ish years after I started. And I don't even know when the affiliate program started. I think I was in between when my kids were born. I think it was started in there sometime. But it's interesting that you mentioned the at first you were a little bit salty about the affiliate status. How do you feel about the badges? That's been like kind of the big news lately. That affiliates will get the
Um,
badges.
well, from what I've seen, if some of the things I was, again, partner right after the affiliates were rolled out and all this stuff, I kind of like was a little bit, I guess you could say salty, but like the more I think about it, it's a positive thing because again, you're having people do stuff that they enjoy and also making money, which some people are able to live off of it, some people aren't. That's jobs in the freaking economy. Um, but that's going to politics. But I thought they weren't going to distinguish partner and affiliate because it seemed like it at first, but they still have some things for partners that are, right now they have the bounty board. I'm sure. Have you heard of that?
No, what is that?
So partners that got invited to the beta access, um, we get a bounty board where every week or so it's updated with like new games that developers are paying for you to play their game. Obviously, there's requirements, just like anything. If you're going to be
Right.
paid a certain amount, you need to have a certain amount of viewership. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I think some of the averages that I've had seen are 89 concurrent viewers, and you'll get paid $50 for an hour.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah.
It'll only be for 1 hour on a
Right.
game, but hey, $50 for an hour is a really good pay.
Yeah.
Um, and that's currently going on right now, which takes away a big part of you going back to what we were talking about, reaching out to devs and all this stuff. Twitch is starting to get their hands on that,
Yeah.
so that they can. I'm very like for example myself. I'm bad at selling myself to like say a new developer or something that I'm not as familiar with to get paid sponsorship. I can get games for free, but I never gotten paid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's taking that away from somebody like myself. Whereas, you have Julia who has, Modest. He's extremely well at selling, her content creation.
Yeah, he's great.
And he gets, that sounds bad the way I'm saying it, but it's not. It's
No,
great.
yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah.
I wish I could sell my content creation the way he does hers, and look where her stream has gone.
Right.
I mean, she's making a completely livable income now off of streaming,
Mm-hmm.
and that's everybody's dream. That wants to stream for their career.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that partners have right now. Of course, the higher payout, the earlier pays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how else they're going to continue to support partners above affiliates, because there has to be
Has to be
that
something. Yeah.
divide, because affiliate is very simple to get.
Right. Yeah, you could
Get
have like a
free,
bot in your
but
channel and get it like in a week.
it's like what, 5 consistent viewers and 50 followers.
Yeah, and I think you could get a reasonable sized raid and beat it in a day probably.
Well, I mean, if you just spent like a week in any game, probably like for 5 days a week for like 4 to 6 hours, you should probably be able to achieve that.
Oh yeah,
Dogs,
absolutely.
get out.
The yeah, it's funny because we have uh, the Twitch Kittens Discord is great in that it brings a lot of different people together, and its biggest value for me was how much can we help other people get to where they want to be at, and the learning aspect of it. But we see messages every single day about, oh yeah, I'm only 10 followers away from affiliate, and I'm only 5 away from affiliate. I need this, 1 extra viewer this month, and then I get affiliate. And this must be how partners. It must be a hierarchy thing where you sort of look down at where you were and think, wow, I was really obsessed with getting my 10th follower or my 50th follower. And then when you hit partner, it's like, wow, I was really obsessed with getting that 75 number. And now it's like, it's irrelevant,
That is, I'm agreeing with you on all of that, because I was going back to it. I was just the same. And it's kind of upsetting that I was like that.
Well, yeah, I think, and also everyone learns at their own path, right? I mean, the whole reason the show was started was basically because when I started streaming, I didn't have any kind of guideline. There was nothing like Twitch Kittens when I started, or at least that I found. There was no place I could go for better information on how to sort of view streaming and number one, how to manage expectations. I mean, that's a big problem for people. And we talk about the regular trappings of streaming, like giveaways. I mean, how many streams do you see where it's like, there's a new giveaway every single day? I mean, it's not a sustainable model for growing your channel.
Oh, it's the giveaway system. The only time you want to do that is either you're getting the products free, or you've actually, like, some streamers, they get, they have a ridiculous amount of money that they're getting, and like they give back to the community.
Yeah.
If you are trying to build a stream, like I've tried it for a very short time, and I learned, like, I'm just not bringing the right people, because you're literally going to have people that make extra accounts. They try and get they want something for free. You're going to have people that are just there for the giveaway, and then you'll never see them again until you do the next giveaway. Exactly. And like, what are you doing other than just, you might as well throw your money in the garbage.
Right. And
now,
yeah,
when you develop a really big, nice community, like I've done a couple giveaways from games that I got for free. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with 5 copies of one game?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I want to play them all. Yeah.
I've given a couple of items that, for one example, I got, like, I think it was like $4,000 donations in 1 month.
Jesus.
And I was like, I gave like $200 in, like gift cards and games away, just because it was giving back to my community.
Yeah.
And it was mostly all to subs. Like, I don't like to exclude people, but I would like to reward the people that have, like, been the ones that are financing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And
like, not I feel sorry saying that in a sense, because there are people that can't afford to sub, they can't afford to donate, and I understand that, and I still appreciate them, because them being there is support no matter what. But essentially, I would like to help the ones that also are the ones helping me more.
Oh, sure. Yeah, at some point you have to draw the line on what is viable. And I've actually had this talk with people before, because just to go back to the WildStar days, when I was streaming WildStar, I was trying to sort of hype up the game because I wanted it to succeed really badly. And at some point in their development cycle, they had some kind of deal at GameStop where it was like $10 for the game or something like that. And then you got an in-game code for currency or something. So I would go down and buy a bunch of copies of WildStar at $10 a piece, and then keep the in-game currency for myself, but give away the game on the stream. And eventually the game went free to play, and of course it's like, that was a big waste of time. But I went into that same trap that you just mentioned, where announcing that you're doing a giveaway brings a certain element into your channel. Of course, you're trying to win free stuff. Then maybe you're not giving away to the right people. You're not giving away to the regulars who are there all the time. Maybe, if you don't have the right currency system set up, which can even still be exploited in certain ways. I totally agree in that giveaways are not a good thing to do on any kind of regular basis. Like you're saying, a big milestone, maybe partnership. Oh shit, now we're giving away something. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Birthday, great. Something like that. But I see so many people in the Twitch Kittens streaming events or something that's giveaway every other day, and I don't know how that is possible.
I,
Yeah.
like I said, for lack of a better phrase, throwing your money in the garbage.
Yeah, and you're right that most of those, if you're not, and like you said, when you give away, try and help the subs out because they're supporting the channel. If you're not really doing that, you have a risk of maybe alienating subs or something like that. But you also have a risk of you reward someone who's you're literally never going to see again. So there's no,
Mm-hmm.
it's a strange. It's a strange balance, and I've tried to many times on the show say I went through this. I made this huge mistake of giveaways. I've been streaming for almost 5 years. In October will be 5 years. Made all these different pitfall mistakes. Don't make these mistakes. Affiliate will take a day. Partnership, there's a whole level beyond that. Don't do giveaways. Don't do all this other kind of different things. It's oh, I remember another question I wanted to ask you. And I know, and my mod just reminded me that I'm probably like 40 minutes over time, but I like this conversation so much I don't want to end it. The
I mean, I could keep going all night if you want to go, man. I love having conversations. Or we could do another episode. Who knows?
Yeah, we might have to do that. So, what are your thoughts on a VOD, a rerun? I would love to know that because I've gotten in conversations with different people about that in particular, and I want to preface it by saying that I don't know the partnership arena and I don't know sponsorship agreements. So I would bet that at some point when you get a sponsorship with a game at some level, that sponsorship includes here's some income. You stream my game 30 hours this month or something like that. That could be an agreement. I don't know. It could work out in contracts like that. What are your thoughts between at the end of your stream hosting and raiding versus going offline, and at the same time, when you're not on or something like that, running a rerun instead of hosting a different channel?
That's actually a really good question. So first, I want to answer that whole sponsorship thing. If you're getting paid to say stream a game for 30 hours, you should all those 30 hours should be streaming, not any VODs or reruns.
Right.
Obviously, like I know some people will try and cut corners, but as for VODs and reruns, I usually like to host most people, either friends that I've made over the years, or that's one of the best ways of like keeping networking going
Right.
for me, because we all don't have an unlimited amount of time to
Exactly.
network with every single person all the time, be in every single stream, and like as the more you network, the bigger your circle of friends becomes.
Right.
It don't have to be like your best friends in the world, but like acquaintances, people that you like watching their content and whatnot. Hosting is one of the best ways of keeping that networking up.
Mm-hmm.
Some people I don't get to watch their streams because I'm sleeping during the day, but I
Right.
have them on host because I enjoy their content on auto host, and at least that they come by and, hey, thanks for keeping the auto host on. I know you haven't dropped by the stream or whatever, but thanks for that, and like that they return the favor. It's like kind of a scratchy, you scratch my back, I scratch yours
Yeah, absolutely.
kind
It's
of
yeah, it's
thing.
the general networking sort of style in the business world as well. Like help someone else.
That's one thing about hosting and raids that I enjoy. The VOD reruns, I kind of again used to be a little against it,
Mm-hmm.
but then as I thought about it, like it's not everybody's always going to be able to watch you, and like
Right.
I don't have like a huge YouTube channel, like not all 32,000 followers I have know about my YouTube. I only have like 120 subscribers on YouTube compared to the 30 something thousand on Twitch.
Right.
So occasionally, depending on what it is, like Sea of Thieves, for example, don't know if you saw when I was playing that, I got on the front page a few times. I was getting well over like 100, 200 viewers. On the front page, I had well over like 2,000.
Nice.
I did reruns of Sea of Thieves before, like during and after the betas, because a lot of people stopped streaming the game.
Okay.
And when the game went off beta, people were still watching the reruns.
Huh.
Because it was a different kind of content. Like I was doing role play. I never thought I'd do role play. and I enjoyed it. And like I could do a rerun, and I was gaining subscribers when I was sleeping.
That's
Um, I
crazy.
don't
Yeah.
I don't think it's something you should like just always run,
Yeah.
because if you're always running it, people might be like, well, I'm never going to catch them live. I would rather watch somebody live or something like that.
Yeah, maybe they'll take their sub to someone they can watch live. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. But I feel like it's still a good tool to use
Yeah.
once in a while. Or like say you had you're doing a series playthrough of like, say when Kingdom Hearts comes out, maybe what I'll do is I'll play Kingdom Hearts, and if there's nobody that I want to host right off the bat, I might just do a rerun of the stream while I'm sleeping.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah, because you're sort of building the hype to what you'll be doing next. I could see that. I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
With that though,
Yeah.
like I'm actually, this is where again I hate doing YouTube because I hate editing and I hate the extra time, because this is now at this point I'm more thinking this is a hobby
Yeah.
since I'm nearly done with college and going to start looking for a job.
Mhm.
Have you ever looked at the highlight feature on Twitch?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you noticed how it's changed?
I have been using it for a few months. It changed to. I mean, I know there's a slider function in it now, and I know you can export
And then
directly
you
to
can
YouTube.
you can export directly to YouTube. Not
Yeah.
to mention if you wanted to cut a stream up into like 10 different, videos, so it's not an 8-hour video.
Yeah, I saw that the
Like
develop into 15-minute segments or something is a clickable option, I think, on there, something like that.
that's an option, or you can just go to certain points, key points in like a gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have an entire list rather than before you'd have to do one, then refresh the page, go through, find the timestamp again, and it
Right.
was like a whole hassle. That's another way that like you could start at least building a YouTube,
Yeah.
because the more content you do and the consistency you keep up, even on YouTube, if you're consistent, people will start watching.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So, and one of the things that we do on my channel, everyone has their different subscriber rewards and things that they do for their subscribers. And one of the things I do is there's a stream audit function, so the viewers can request a stream audit, and I come look at their channel. And most of the time, it's hey, there's this feature, the highlight feature you just mentioned. You can almost automatically export all your stuff to YouTube with a decent tag on it and decent description. And I have playlists set up for this show and for the Wednesday show. I do a tech show as well. And it's been really helpful, the highlighting feature, as well as the clip feature. I've been downloading clips and then sort of splicing them together in Movie Maker. It's really interesting. But it hasn't taken that too long. That takes a little bit more time than the highlight. The highlight is literally 2 clicks and then it's on YouTube. Like, it's so easy.
Like I said, Twitch, I wasn't around since Justin TV, but I've been around long enough to see a lot of changes on Twitch.
Yeah.
And just in general, there's many different things. Like like I said, if your really goal is to like make something of this, you're also gonna have to do the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not gonna have to, but look at every big streamer. They pretty much have a YouTube that's just their content that they did for the day.
Mm-hmm. And I know that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's becoming easier where before you'd have to write down timestamps, you'd have to do all this, extra work. Where now it's a few clicks of a button. It's becoming easier and easier, basically.
Right. And I know that with that, because it's so easy, there's actually more. And I've seen, in particular, Julia posting saying she's looking for video. I forget exactly what she was saying. Something about video creators, basically to make intro videos for YouTube. That she's seeing sort of more of a impact from YouTube. So she's trying to move more content there too.
Well, think of it this way. Twitch is great and all while you're live, but YouTube is always there.
Right, exactly.
So no matter what, once you've got the content there, if people are watching, whether you're sleeping or not, you're pretty much always making money.
Exactly. And I know that just for me in particular, and for the viewers' feedback that I've gotten, YouTube is so ingrained in every mobile device and in every browser and everything. If you go to someone, hey, I just did a show last night, why don't you go check it out, and then send them a Twitch link versus a YouTube link, 100 times out of 100 times they're going to YouTube link.
Yeah.
It's just easier. That's all it is to it.
Well, I mean, YouTube was before Twitch.
Yeah, the
And what was
following is
before
enormous.
YouTube? No, nobody was before YouTube, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. I can't think of what it was. I think there was some weird video sharing site, but it wasn't. I mean, YouTube is the thing. YouTube is the where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one of the things I want to mention when you were talking about partnership, about the difference between affiliate and partner, one of the most important perks to me for partnership is the transcoding, is the ability to basically stream in whatever quality you want, because the big deal with my show is everything has to look the best, everything has to sound the best, and so I streamed in 1080/60 for a long time until I actually had to talk with Jim about alienating viewers and all this kind of stuff. And it was an interesting talk, and that to me that's my achievable goal for partnership. I want to be able to stream at the highest quality content, 4K when it's ready, and then people can just stream down to 480 or whatever if they have crap internets or anything. Because I have subscribers and regulars in my channel that say, I come here and it's buffering on 720/60. I can't 1080/60. I wouldn't even be able to watch you. it's to me, that's the biggest perk. So the sub badges, if I was partner, wouldn't matter so much as long as I had that transcoding. That's like the hallmark. If they do that for affiliate, I know they do it sometimes for affiliate on I forget how they word it. It's like on a first come first served basis or based on server load or something. But
you actually get the higher transcoding depending on your viewership too.
oh, okay. I got
Like
you.
if but when I was before I was a partner, before I was affiliate, like if you are a certain amount of viewership, your transcoding like goes higher. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
how they do that, but people were like, "Oh, you're in 1080 or whatever." I'm like, okay, cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
I stream to a downscale to 720
Yeah.
though, just because it's easier. Most people can, almost everybody can at least, even on crap internet, usually watch 720.
Yeah, you can get it on cell service pretty easily. When you go to like 1080/60, it gets a little rough sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, another thing I wanted to mention, and this goddamn interview is going to go on forever. The a couple months ago, you had a problem with some hardware, and then we started talking a little bit about it on Twitter. How that seemed to resolve itself pretty quickly. I mean, relatively, but how would you say the relationship between partners and not necessarily game developers, but hardware manufacturers is? Someone like, I will mention them again. I know it's going to cost me $1, but the doc has a relationship with Asus or somebody like that, where you can get sponsored by different hardware companies and they can maybe supply parts. I don't understand that necessarily. Do you find that to be a more difficult partnership, sponsorship agreement to get into than with a dev? Or what's your experience with that?
My experience is I actually have no experience, considering I've never gotten like a sponsorship from a hardware developer or anything.
Mm,
Um, I would say it's possibly a little bit harder to get that because they're what is the hardware developers main focus? Getting money.
right.
So how are you? And again, I usually have the problem of selling myself in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like my content. It's easier to sell to a developer because they can look at my content very easily, and more than likely they'll want to, hey, uh, we're a strategy developer, developer of a strategy game. Oh, this guy, he's played every strategy game from Kingdom Come.
Right.
He might be, really good, valid in either helping our game or, making our game look good because he's played every single one of these at high levels of play.
Right.
So he could probably show the best of the best very quickly and, it make their stuff look good. That's where developers are like, it's easier to make contact and, get that
Yeah.
relationship with developers for sponsors. The hardware developer is all about how are you going to benefit them or sell their product.
Yeah, that's a really good point that actually I probably should have thought about that first. Was if you are thinking, I'm going to get a partnership with someone like, someone like NVIDIA or something to market their cards. what is the marketing strategy behind that? It's sitting in your box. Like,
How
are you?
exactly, how are
Yeah,
you going to market it other than like I know some of the ways that you can definitely like pitch depending on your viewership. Like, okay, you can do an ad of Nvidia, like when you
right.
take a break, and you like pitch it to them. Hey, uh,
You get a
I'll
certain
do
amount
an
of ads a
ad
week or
every
something.
stream like 3 or 4 times a night. This is
Yeah.
my crowd, and if it's big enough, they'll show interest. I know. Are you familiar with Meow Sparky?
Yes. I mean, very
Look,
cursory familiarity,
okay,
but yeah.
she, she's not a huge streamer, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this isn't possible to get any sponsorships with these, developers or software developers or hardware developers.
Mm-hmm.
She's sponsored by Omen PC,
Oh,
and
okay.
she not like a huge streamer. She gets anywhere from an 80 to 150 viewers,
Right.
and more power to her. But she's also doing something a little bit more unique with the creative that she does.
Yeah, I know she's a
She
big
got
creative person, right? Yeah.
she got moved. She went all through New Zealand, like going to like conferences and events, and they paid for that. They sent her an entire like an Omen desktop PC and even a laptop.
Oh, wow.
Obviously all free of charge. And I think she has a couple of things saying that, part of it is obviously you want to advertise it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's the usual panels and stuff, and like you were saying, the ads is something I hadn't thought of. And I know that I see on some streamers streams where they have a little thing pop up at the bottom, Razer or something like that, or Asus or something, and they got the background with the sponsorship on it. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. Like, it seems easy enough to market like a microphone. For instance, in your video right now, I could see the microphone. You could market the
I could
technically.
market a microphone for sure.
Right. But something like marketing RAM, I mean, it's just
Or
you're
a
not.
video card
Yeah.
or something.
Or marketing. Oh, I use the AMD Threadripper 1850X, something like that. How would I see that? It's
See,
impossible.
this is so I have a lot of YouTuber friends too that I talk to, like Lionheart. He's got like 200 or something thousand or 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have a friend Gorilla Fent who's got like 200,000 subscribers. Spliced, he's getting like close to 80 or 90K.
Hmm.
These are some decent sized YouTubers. They're not like powerhouses, but they do well.
Yeah.
And from what I've discussions that I've had with all of them, I've come to the conclusion anything with hardware or software, as like getting that as a sponsorship, whether you get free product or get paid,
Hmm.
is much easier as a YouTuber than a streamer. Because YouTube, in your video, for example, Lionheart, he got like a $3,500 Republic of Gamers laptop.
Right.
The top of the line, a very top of the line laptop,
Hmm.
and completely free. And all he was required was like 10 videos, powered by Republic of, like this video was made on this computer,
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Just like a
and
kind of a
that's
brief ad mention. Yeah.
much easier to do than while you're live and everything.
Yeah.
Because when you're live, if you're gonna do that, you have to like you'd start scheduling and like
Like
part of
banners coming out
streaming
on the stream or something like that. Yeah.
depending on how you approach it. Like for me, if I started doing all of that, it would be too much of a job unless I was getting paid well enough. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And for me to literally do all of that, do the planning, do the scheduling, uh, I'd have to be making a certain amount of money minimum, and I
Hmm.
would start putting more effort into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a really interesting balance that you just mentioned there. Actually, is like you in some way you need to prove to a possible sponsorship agreement person that that you can properly market the content. But as you're saying, at the same time, there's a lot of forward work that might have to go into that to be able to prove that. So is it a weird realm of, let's say your goal for this year was, I'm going to get an Nvidia sponsorship. well, the only way to do that is to make all these different banners and things and ads and everything. Would you go to them first with a plan that says I will do this stuff, or with a VOD or something that says this is how I will implement this stuff? It's a kind of interesting concept between people call it sunk money or sunk time, which is not necessarily maybe the right term here, but there has to be some sort of upfront effort that maybe you risk not getting paid back for in some of those sponsorships, right?
So you mentioned already having it ready versus getting it ready.
Yeah.
I would say because they're both ultimately going to be doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Just if you're about time management, because it does take time to hear back from all these, and sponsors. They usually are not a next day kind of thing. It's like
Right.
a week or two, sometimes even longer,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not the only person trying to get sponsored by these people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, as much as we all want to like think we
I'm
are.
the special snowflake. I'm the only one.
Yeah, I'm the only one. There's hundreds and if not thousands of people trying to do this for it, not even just gaming, other stuff too.
Right.
Um, I would, for time management purposes, I would come up with a plan of what I would want to do. I wouldn't like implement it all, and that's your pitch.
Right.
You need to have that plan, and that is your sales pitch, basically, because you are selling, again, you're selling your content and how it's going to benefit them. If you aren't giving a reason why it's going to benefit them, 99 out of 100 times that you're never even going to hear a reply back, or it's just a flat no.
Right. And I wonder if that's a little bit like how when you send resumes out, where it's, usually a cover letter might be important, or they often suggest if you're going to send a resume, keep it to like a page or something, or 2 pages, make it brief enough where they can get the gist. Where if you're going to send across like to one of these companies, something like a business proposal, that it needs to be brief and show the correct information quickly enough to where someone's not going to read it, 6 paragraphs later. Hi, I'm a Twitch streamer and I've been doing this for you know what I mean? Maybe it's something like, I can give you this, I can promise you this based on this viewership. I would like to be, in agreements with you, send me an email or something.
Just also make sure you're not making like out of this world like claims either.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you can come verify that pretty quickly and get blackballed.
Yeah, if somebody does their research, they can verify stuff very easily.
Right. I'm the
But
next doc. You should. Yeah, I have 30,000 viewers a night.
um, yeah, it's the same kind of concept. I would say still like you have to do something that's also going to catch an eye. Just like in sending resumes in.
Right.
Yeah, you got to keep it to like a page, but if you send like a cover letter as well, usually, and if they actually take the time, because you were one of 10 to actually send a cover letter, it shows that your willingness to go further than the next person.
Right.
So think of it that way, because I've been reading this book, how to win friends, and
I know it. Yeah.
we talked about that, didn't we?
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Dale Carnegie. And like one of the biggest things is any kind of effort done over the next person gets noticed very quickly.
Right.
Especially when you're the one wanting something, and so is that other person.
Exactly. And sort of, let's say this will be the last question of our episode 1 of our talk. What in your experience, maybe, or maybe you've heard from other partners, when talking in terms of marketing themselves or in terms of sponsorships or partnerships, without a contact. Let's say that you have contacts at the Total War people, the arena people, and then you have contacts other game developers. Let's say you wanted to go out of the box, you want to contact Blizzard or something, you want to get a hold of them. What is your strategy for attacking that? Let's say there's company X, they make a cool game that's coming out, you want to get in contact with them. Is your plan of attack to sort of go to the website, to go to LinkedIn, to look for a friend that has a contact? What would be your strategy?
So, going through the website is probably the most common thing, and probably going to get you to the most like automated
Right.
either response or somebody that's sifting through 10,000 of those a day and just skipping you because there was nothing that's different.
Right.
Now, I've learned over time, Twitter and like say, um, let me think for 1 second. Tail Worlds, Mountain Blade Bannerlord 2. Familiar with that game at all?
Yes, I am familiar with that game. I haven't played it, but I know of it. Yeah.
Well, that one's not out yet. So if you played it, I'd be like, okay, let me get a copy.
Oh no, I meant the first Mountain Blade. I have
I
a friend
know,
that
I'm
wrote
just
like
messing with
guides or
you.
whatever.
So I've already reached out to them. I didn't use their website because, again, using the website usually gets you to the wrong people.
Right.
Usually, you have to do a little bit of investigation or research.
Mm-hmm.
Go to that company, go to the developer, go to their Twitter, and find either, a lot of times you'll find people that are, community managers that are also attached to their Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can go through LinkedIn. You can keyword certain things. Community influence manager of XYZ's company.
Right.
These are kind of some of the things you're gonna have to do a little detective work, because when you find a particular contact, rather than, hey, Blizzard.net,
Sales
can
team
I
at Blizzard.com. Yeah, something
yeah,
like that.
who do you think's gonna read it? But when
Yeah.
you get Joe Smith at Blizzard.net, now you've got a direct person.
Right. The chances are at
So
least way higher that person's gonna read it.
they're way higher, and it's more of a chance of you getting a response quicker. And I've done this, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of hit or miss. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously, if you were a big name, it's easier to get noticed because probably your name was mentioned at some point. Like, if who doesn't know the doc on
Right.
Twitch?
Yeah,
Not
I'm
many
sure there's
people don't
marketing
know him.
sessions that are specifically with those names on a whiteboard or something. You know?
Mm-hmm. So those are some that you're going to have to do investigative work in order to reach out to people that you've never reached out to before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point, and it'd be interesting to see what the attack strategy would be for a company that maybe is not. Although maybe all companies have like a community person nowadays, like someone that handles the Twitter, like a social media person or something like that. But it'd be interesting to see what the attack strategy would be for a company. Like, I don't know why you would do this, but let's say you wanted a sponsorship from like Mobile Gas or something, or some other company that is completely outside the realm of computer hardware or software. How to
Hey,
contact
I
them?
know I've seen somebody that's sponsored by General Mills, man, on Twitch. Don't knock it. Don't
Nice.
knock it.
Free cereal.
Hey, I'm sure they get paid too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be really interesting, and I think that something like these cons that we sort of touched on in the beginning of the show would be a good spot to, if you send any, like you were saying, if you find that contact, that name through social engineering is kind of what it's called, basically, is searching these hierarchy, these directories, and finding these people. If you were to able to get in contact with that person, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe mention in the thing, hey, I'm also going to be at TwitchCon. I'm also going to be at BlizzCon. If you want to get a coffee, or you have 5 minutes, I'll meet you at a booth just to say hello or something. Getting that introduction, not only getting that email to that specific person, but the introduction, as Bill mentioned at the beginning of the show. Then you're passing along a card. Now they know your face. Now they know the sound of your voice. It's all kind of resonates back to a higher chance of sponsorship or partnership or a continued relationship down the road, at least.
Exactly. I mean, one of the global community managers for Wargaming, I played a lot of Total War Arena with him. He's leaving Wargaming. I don't know where he's going now, but I have his direct contact.
Right. So wherever he
And I
lands, he
talk to him
still knows
every
you.
once in a while. So wherever he lands, going back, back to that conversation, wherever he lands next, I have a contact somewhere else.
Right. He still knows Wild Bill. Right. He still knows the voice, still knows the name. Okay. let's take a break for our episode 1. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. It has been awesome to talk at this